So this is Simon Ashby, co-founder of Audiokinetic, here to talk about Wwise and the world of audio. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Thank you, thank you. Who's doing audio here? Couple? In the back, always in the back, audio people. Any game designers? Great, level designers, all that, yeah, okay. Programmers? Producer type? Tourists? Sorry? Voice actor, all right, that counts, definitely. I put you in the, well, I mean, I was putting you into the audio people just over there. Great, welcome. It's really great to be here today with you. I'm Simon Ashby, co-founder of Audiokinetic and head of product. And we're here the entire week. There's a lot of stuff going on for us. And we thought it was a 30-minute session, and it's mostly a 20-minute session. So 3 videos, 70 slides in 20 minutes. Just watch that. It's going to be intense. All right, and warning, this is a sponsored session. And I wanted some dramatic music just there because, believe it or not, it's only our second sponsored session. We don't do that. And the very first time was in 2006 at GDC. We were launching Wwise, good reason to do a sponsored session. And the second one, well, it's happening before your eyes. It's just now. So welcome, everyone. We're really glad to be here. But why a sponsored session? There are some answers at the end of the talk. Stay with us. All right, so as you could see in the program, we're going to talk about the past, the present, through Wwise eyes, of course. So from our perspective, a glimpse of the future, how we see it. So that's really pretentious, by the way. So that's a pretentious part of the talk, where we think, we believe what the future will hold. And finally, an invitation. And that will be great, because maybe we'll see some of you later this week, on Friday. Okay, so let's look about the past. So in 1972, 51 years already, video game. So 2 months apart, there are 2 home console going out, the Magnavox Odyssey and Atari Pong. And the first one is a total commercial failure, and the second one is the birth of video game. What happened? Exactly the same gameplay, exactly the same type of controller, the same everything. One is a success, not the other one. Anybody knows why? It was making sound. Congratulations. All right. So, and how did it work? So it was not supposed to do sound, but the president, Mr. Nolan Bushnell, kind of pushed his engineer, saying, it has to make sound. And the engineer said, well, we don't have any audio components into that thing. He said, it has to make sound. And he said, okay, look into the components, and he found out that, hey, there's a sync generator in the thing. And what is a sync generator? That's the thing that creates the image, right? And it has to create image. So here we're in the Europe, so you're on PAL, your AC current runs at 50 hertz. So the sync generator basically take that cadence and use the odd lines to display, and then the even lines to display 50 times per second, so you have 25 complete frames per second. North America and TSC, it's 60 frames per second. This is exactly an oscillator, which is the basic for a synthesizer. So we just discovered that there's a synthesizer if you use the sync generator of the thing, and it sounded like such. Isn't it great? Square waves, everyone. That's the beauty of it. There's some distortion to it. And now it's really hip, distortion. 50 years ago, it was, wanted it or not. Okay, so if we just go one generation later, so now there's the Atari 2600, there's the Magnavox, the second edition of their thing, ColecoVision. Any owner of ColecoVision? Except me, yeah, okay. And there was the Intellivision. That console was great. Intellivision owners? Yes, one. You're just too young, all of you. Okay. So this time around, we knew that we needed sound because I think we established that without sound, there's no video game industry at all. Like, no? Right? Yeah, if you have a job, if I have a job, it's because there's sound, because otherwise it's just moving lines and it's not interesting. It becomes a game and it becomes an art form when we combine everything. So let's just listen to that. So what was interesting with the television, and I just don't have enough time to go into the technical details, but we had 3 polyphonic voices with it. They share the same ADSR for the audio geek here, so it's kind of weird. And you have to emulate music, sound effects, ambience, all those things with 3 voices. So we use techniques like voice stealing and prioritization to get with that. So just listen to the music and how the music got some of the music stolen by sound effects. Marvelous. Hours, years playing that console with different soundtrack. So if we skip a few generations of console, we arrive in 1994. Why I chose this one? Because it's the first console where you can do your sound design using PCM audio, which is pre-recorded music, or not music, pre-recorded anything, music, dialogue, sound effects, and so on. And it's starting at that era that basically comes everything modern, everything we know nowadays. And it was great because we had a CD-ROM. Remember CD-ROM? 700 megs. That was great, though. How much runtime memory for audio? 500K, which I believe equates to something like 4 seconds of full resolution PCM sound. So you had to be creative again. But that's how Audiokinetic was born, basically. So we're starting all that in 2000, but we're in the era of PCM playback thing. And we basically realized that, okay, the tech is there, the console are there, there's a lot of things we can do, but there was a lack of tools, and we decided to take it upon us to create a tool that the industry could use. And we opened our office in Montreal. We're from Quebec, Canada, in there, and then we developed Wwise. An interesting point is the first game has been released before the first version of Wwise, so that's always interesting when Microsoft released a game with beta number 4. But anyway, it goes like that. We opened another office in Tokyo, one in Shanghai more recently, and around 2014, 2015, we started exploring other type of markets, other type of industry segments. So LBE stands for location-based entertainment and automotive and so on. And there's some stuff we'll talk about later. But what is really important is that Wwise kind of became an industry standard. And that enabled a lot of things in the industry. It enables a team to form rapidly and have people that knows about Wwise, because there's a lot of people around knowing that. Or you're a studio, you have your audio team, but comes the peak of the production and you need some contractors to help you. Well, today contractors knows how to use Wwise and how to integrate in that. You're a tiny company doing a mobile game, and you release on all those mobile games, especially on Android, and you need to optimize rapidly for that. A sound designer can do that, or can do a lot of things, and then maybe you need some programming help to further improve things. But it became an industry standard, and that really pushed the quality of audio across the board, we hope to believe. So, a glimpse of the present. So, of course, we started with Wwise, but recently we released Strata. And for us, it's kind of the yin and yang aspect of it. Wwise being the technology, the runtime piece of software that you put into your game engine that runs on all the platforms. And Strata is the content part. But a content part that's developed for interactivity, for video game and so on. So that's our yin and yang kind of picture of this. So rapidly, we could do a 3-hour talk on why, so that's not where we want to go. But as I was saying, we started in the gaming industry, and now there's location-based and even automotive. So I stole those slides a couple of days ago from another presentation. Typically, the slide I like to put there is mixing AAA titles with indie games and so on. It's mostly indie and big studio, not indie, but AAA type of titles. But anyway, we're all around in that space. And location-based entertainment, this is a really fun one because it's other industry looking at a video game and the tools we're using and the method of working and say, hey, that will be nice into our own experience and so on. So now we have Wwise on theme parks. So in Osaka, Universal has created 6 different type of rides in the world of Super Mario world, and Wwise is playing those sounds into gigantic. Anyway, it's crazy. It's really cool. Look into that. There's some article about it. Maybe you recognize the Dome in Las Vegas. So we're not part of the U2 show that is starting this week, I think, something like that. But in 2024, there's the first experience using Wwise in that crazy thing. They've done that. During the pandemic, nobody watching football in the place, but broadcaster wanted some reaction. So they modeled the 32 stadiums they have to have unique crowd per city. And there was a Wwise operator or crowd operator using Wwise and kind of doing the play-by-play from a crowd thing. So it goes beyond game, and it's really cool. That's what I prefer. It's like, oh, wow, this is outside the box, and it's really cool projects. And now we're into automotive as well. So 2026 for Sony Honda Mobility, but next year in China, there's going to be a first car that is manufactured and using Wwise to basically play back the audio into the thing. So cool stuff. But what we really, really enjoy in all that, it's our user, our ecosystems. And believe it or not, there's about 250,000 people registered in our system. So maybe not people using Wwise on a daily basis, but even if you cut that number by half or by 3, that's a lot of people using Wwise on a daily basis. So there's a lot of game developers, a lot of technical partners, all the platforms, of course. We've put a lot of emphasis into education. We created a certification program. Everything is translated into 5 languages. We try to cover as large as possible. We have tons of blog articles every week. And those are mostly written by people outside Audiokinetic. So that's the community that faced a problem and decided to write an article about how they overcome that problem with whatever techniques, ideas, and so on. Through Wwise, of course, but what is interesting is not how they did it in Wwise necessarily, is how do you solve problem for interactive audio. And that's what we try to foster and gather through that. And when people download Wwise or when they connect to our website, they connect from an IP address, and those can be geolocalized, and it's just gorgeous to see. This is us. This is us using Wwise across, across the globe. So there's a lot of people on islands I cannot name, like there's a Y up there, but what is this island at the bottom? Anybody knows? No? Okay. So anyway, it's just cool to see that. So that's a glimpse of Wwise, a glimpse of Strata now. Strata is a sound library that has been designed and taught for interactivity for game. And typically, libraries, you get sounds. You get your rendered sounds. And what we decided to do instead of that is to provide the source code of those sounds, if I can say. So it's really to provide all the layers, everything that the original sound designers have put in place, all the effect settings to come up with the final sound. And that's what we deliver. And for the people here in the room that never designed sound necessarily, when you hear a sound, you may think, well, it's one sound, but it's not one sound. It's really a lot of work, a lot of collage and manipulation and so on. And here's an example of how a sound could be made. So that's all your layers together, but so what is nice with Strata is if you don't like the explosion or the release or the punch, well, just change it, or remove it, or replace it with your own thing instead of fighting and trying to isolate it when it's all cooked into a single thing. So that makes it really powerful. So, and Video games, you need a lot of variations, and that library has, for any sound, a minimum of 6 variations, up to 18 variations per type of sounds, for example. Again, so focus on helping and solving problems for video game developers. So there's already tons of collections available, and the goal is to release new collections every month, at least one, if not a few there. And there's some free collections if you're interested. Just go on our website and subscribe to the free and collections, and you're good to go. Time flies, so hope you're not exhausted already. How's it going? Yeah? Okay. So you're still smiling, most of you. All right. It's good. Cool. Okay, so a glimpse of the future. So if we look today's production workflow, how does it work? So there's dialogue. This is crazy, the amount of dialogue we have to do in a lot of games, music, sound effects. So those are really like assets you need to record and produce and all that. And spatial audio and dynamic mixing is more in the engine, in Wwise or in the game engine, and you need to set a series of rules and components to get to the result. And today, it's all manual work. There's a lot of work involved and a lot of people specialize in doing that. But there's a problem with that. So if we know that the past is an indication of what the future holds, and we look at the past 3 decades, you'll see that like early 2000, late 90s, like a game with 5,000 sound was a AAA game. And 10 years later, 50,000 sound was really common, and 500,000 sound today, this is a really common AAA average. We had our first game in Wwise with 1 million asset in 2011. So it's there. And this is typically a lot of dialogue, and if you localize, it goes up. So every decade, we multiply by 10 the number of sounds, roughly. That's what we've been doing the last 3 decades. If we look now at how many sound artists do we need to produce that, 3-person team 20 years ago, yeah, maybe 15. And today, 75. It's, yeah, look at everybody working on the score, working on the dialogue, sound design, integration. You have a team of 75, easily. Maybe not all full-time for 5 years, but you're going to have at least that. So let's extend that for the next 2 decades. 5 million sounds and 50 million sounds in 2040. Most of you will still be working. I might be retired, but not you. How will you produce 50 million sounds in 20 years? So with 2,000 people? Like, no way. Like, there's a producer somewhere that would say, no, this is crazy. So we cannot multiply the team. 75 is already a big number. So what do? Well, we don't have any other choice than to embrace technology and embrace things like text-to-speech. Maybe not to replace hopefully not to replace your main characters, but maybe if there's this line where you need it and Brad Pitt is not available to record it, things happen like that. So why not using that? Or why not just having better, stitching of dialogue, that kind of thing. Generative music, like AI music, you've listened to it, it sucks, right? It still sucks. But it will not suck as much in the future, we hope. But something that can be really practical now is you have your 6 hours of music, and that music is attached to your stealth mode, your exploration, your attack. And what is really tedious for a composer is to write all those little transition segments from stealth to attack, from stealth to this and that. Well, why not using machine learning and other type of tools to do that, just to help us, and have the composer focusing on a main theme and what is really important in the end. Same thing, let's have a machine creating variations for us, and let's have sound propagation by default in the game engine that we're there, and have our priority mixing and so on. So we have to rely on the machine. We have to let go of the control. And typically, audio people are control freaks, so I wanted to see the reaction, but there's game designers and other people. But anyway, the point is that. So what is the production workflow of the future, I believe? And if we look at ChatGPT now, it's pretty much that. So as an artist, you'll set your mood, your aesthetics, your goals, what you want to do. The system will generate some audio, and from that, you'll fine-tune, and eventually you come up with something that makes sense. All right. So last portion of the talk, here's an invitation for you. So this Friday, second floor, or just the floor below here in Theater 1, we're hosting our Wwise tour in Hilversum, just here in this place. And Wwise tours are something we started back in 2007. We regroup people from the industry that will do presentations of their last games, and we invite the community there. And what is really nice, it's when there's this exchange of questions and ideas and discussion between the audience and the people on the stage, and most of the time it happens. Most of the time we get there. So there's still room. You can take your phone and RSVP. I'll have this QR code on the last slide, so don't be worried. So it starts with our president, our CEO, Martin Klein, that will do the opening speech, and he has a really important announcement. And that may justify why I'm here for this sponsored session, at least in part. So there's that. Then it's followed by me. This is me. Hello. It's followed by me that will talk about Wwise, where we're at, the latest versions, and all that. And then we have our two main presentations. So Alexander Horowitz will talk about doing really large-scale products. He's done he's been at like Rockstar and EA and those big games. It's going to talk about Hogwarts Legacy as well more recently. So and he has all the assets to geek out really, really deep. So if you're interested in that, that will be great. And then we have the team from Respawn, straight from California, flying here to talk about Star Wars Jedi Survivor. So Nick Von Cannell, Alex Barnhart, and Colin Grant talking about music, sound implementation, and their journey doing that. Because they started like 5 years ago. I visited them pre-pandemic, and they were already mid-core, so they've worked on that game for a while. And maybe the most important aspect is after that, when there's a lunch and there's a cocktail and discussion and the idea is to exchange and meet and so on. So that's a whole day event. Hopefully you'll be there with us. And this is the end of my part. So thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much, Simon. Unfortunately, I don't think we can do the Q&A right now, so if anyone has any questions, I think if they can find you afterwards. There is time for tea break as well. Yeah, so thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.